Coverage you can count on. KOMU 8 News starts now.
Well, if you're headed to a Columbia Public Schools building tomorrow, don't forget the mask. The district's new mask rules go into effect tomorrow, a week before the start of the school year. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Emily Spain. Thanks so much for joining us. A reminder of those rules. Starting tomorrow, all CPS students, employees, and visitors will be required to wear masks inside and on buses. That's regardless of their vaccination status. Masks won't be required outside. The district says it will have masks available for anyone who needs them, and students will have mask breaks during the day. The district says it will monitor and reevaluate this decision as the school year continues. We have team coverage this afternoon as CPS prepares for those new rules. We begin with KOMU 8's Matt McCabe, who is live outside the CPS administration building. Matt, you talked with the president of the Columbia Teachers Union today. Does this new mask mandate align with their recommendations?
Yes, Emily, the Teachers Union made a recommendation at the end of July that CPS should adopt a mask mandate. And she says that if there are fewer students in quarantine, that will alleviate some extra pressure on teachers. Live in Columbia, Matt McCabe, KOMU 8 News.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Moving now to KOMU 8's Lucy Kale live in downtown Columbia, and she looked into the potential of an increase in mask sales with this new mandate. So, Lucy, are shops here in town noticing a difference yet?
Stores here in downtown Columbia are keeping a close eye on their mask inventory. Once again, reporting live in Columbia, Lucy Kale, KOMU 8 News.
If you've been outside the last couple of days,
Okay, thanks, Matt. Turning now to the turmoil in Afghanistan this weekend. Most of the country's government has fallen, and the Taliban is inching closer to taking complete control. Taliban forces are now in the nation's capital of Kabul and have taken control of all of the political centers around it. Taliban fighters who made it to the capital today said they were waiting for, quote, peaceful transfer of the city, saying they would not take it by force. Al Jazeera in Afghanistan reports Taliban negotiators are at the presidential palace to discuss the transfer, but it's unclear when that will take place. On the streets of Kabul, some residents were fearful, while others remained hopeful that nothing would change.
Recently, life has become difficult for people. People worried about the way Taliban treat us before and now. It's a little different.
I'm a girl and I don't care about anyone, not Pakistan, not America, nobody else. I'm here even today. If they kill me, if they identify me, I will not care about them. I will not care about them. What should I be scared of? This is my homeland, my land.
The Afghan president has also now left the country. That's according to senior diplomatic sources in Afghanistan. It comes after the president said he would not leave the country as recently as Friday. The Afghan chairman of the High Council for National Reconciliation, a former ally of the Afghan president, blasted him for leaving. In a video posted to Facebook, he called the Afghan president the former president, saying in part, quote, the fact that the former Afghan president left the country and put the people and country in such a bad situation, God will hold him accountable, and the people of Afghanistan will also judge him for doing so. Back here in the U.S., President Biden met virtually with his national security team this morning from Camp David. The White House says the meeting focused on Afghanistan and with getting U.S. civilian personnel and Afghan allies out of the country. That has been happening all day at the U.S. Embassy in Kabul. Smoke was seen rising over the embassy and helicopters were flying in and out of the compound. The embassy itself is now operating out of the airport there, which was closed to commercial flights earlier today. The embassy is warning U.S. citizens to shelter in place until U.S. forces can come get them. In the U.S., the speed of the pushback shocked many. It came quickly after the Biden administration announced a U.S. military mission in Afghanistan would end by the end of August, accelerating that withdrawal of U.S. troops. Just a few days ago, an American military assessment estimated it would be at least a month before the capital of Kabul would come under insurgent pressure. This morning on Meet the Press, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken put the blame specifically on Afghan forces.
But on the other hand, I have to tell you that the inability of Afghan security forces to defend their country has played a very powerful role in what we've seen over the last few weeks. And unfortunately, tragically, they have not been able to defend the country. And I think that explains why this has moved as quickly as it's moved.
Just in the last hour, the White House announced it will be sending another 1,000 troops to Afghanistan, bringing the total now to 6,000 troops headed back to the Middle East. Ahead for us, a disaster in Haiti drawing comparisons to 2010, the latest on cleanup efforts after yesterday's earthquake. Plus, we're rounding up what you need to know that's coming up in your week ahead.
And if you're wondering why it feels so comfortable outside this evening, the reason for that, those dew points are low, near 60. These values will rise through the week. I'll break down what you need to know coming up.
But first, a live look over Jesse Hall there in Columbia. Your time is 5:08. This is KOMU 8 News, First at 5 coverage you can count on. Welcome back. Happening tomorrow at the Columbia City Council meeting, council members will take another look at the idea of leasing parking spaces to the developers of the new Cherry Street Hotel. The council tabled the idea at a meeting last month. The plan proposes to lease the hotel 99 parking spots from the city parking garage on 10th and Cherry Street. Of those spots, 68 would be taken away from permit holders and 31 would come from hourly spaces. Multiple council members and local residents spoke against the plan.
I'm sorry that these rich people bought such a small space that they can't build a garage on it. And I'm sorry that they're not going to make enough money without taking some of what the citizens have built for themselves. But that's the truth of the matter. We built that garage with our money.
Last month, the council approved 3 other items related to the hotel's development. This week, Ridgeway Avenue in Columbia will close so crews can repair and replace sanitary sewer service. Columbia Public Works says it will close Ridgeway Avenue between West Ash and West Worley during the day starting Tuesday. Crews will close both lanes of Ridgeway from 7:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. That work is scheduled to wrap by Thursday. Coming up, those cleanup efforts and rescue efforts continue in Haiti, the latest after yesterday's powerful earthquake. Turning now to the earthquake in Haiti, rescue efforts are continuing after a powerful 7.2 magnitude earthquake struck southwestern Haiti yesterday. Today, the country says at least 724 people are reported dead. Most of those victims are in the south. Hundreds were hurt or missing. The country's prime minister says he is rushing aid to areas in the south where entire towns were destroyed and hospitals are overwhelmed with patients. The U.S. Coast Guard says it is helping with relief out of Florida. The Coast Guard is deploying several helicopters from Clearwater, Florida. Crews and helicopters will focus on bringing medical personnel from the airport in Port-au-Prince to victims near the epicenter, as well as evacuating injured people to hospitals. Matt.
And we want to start with a look at the earthquake reports over the last 24 hours. And there's been at least 6 aftershocks with a maximum magnitude of 6.0. So that's weaker than the 7.2 magnitude earthquake that struck, but of course still causing a lot of problems. Also, problems going to be coming with the weather as well as we watch Tropical Depression Grace. This has weakened from a tropical storm. A tropical depression is a step down, but it's still going to have impacts just to the south of San Juan right now. As we switch to the track, it is going to move straight over the island as we head through the next 24 hours. In fact, by Monday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it's bearing down on the island, this cone right over the area of Haiti. So this could potentially impact those rescue efforts and of course cause more problems with heavy rain falling. This is then going to continue its trek to the west and could potentially threaten either Mexico or the United States over the coming days. Of course, remember, the track of this storm and this cone means that it could be anywhere within this cone. That's where that storm could be as we head towards the end of the week.
Okay, thanks, Matt. With college students returning to campus, spending is on track to make a big splash. A survey from the National Retail Federation shows college students and their families expect to spend about $1,200 on back-to-school items. That's a 13% increase from last year. Overall, college spending is expected to hit $71 billion. The survey showed most of that increase is from spending on electronics and furnishings. Pickleball, its growing popularity is happening across the country and in Missouri. Coming up, we'll introduce you to a local athlete going pro.